pianist Rafał Blechacz, performing three works by Chopin, the Opus 34 No. 2 Waltz in A minor, and a pair of polonaises from Opus 40. His first public performance as the 2014 recipient of the Gilmore Artist Award. I'm Jeff Spurgeon from WQXR. Fred Child from American Public Media is by my side, as is Mr. Blechacz. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
No,
It's a great news.
And we can already hear why you're the 2014 Gilmore Artist from what you just played.
Yeah,
now,
that's great.
once every 4 years, this is the big news in the world of piano. And it's secret. But the news came out just last night at midnight, Eastern Time. I don't imagine that you were just casually going through your Twitter feed and saw, oh my goodness, the Gilmore Awards, c'est moi. How long have you known about this?
Well, it was July last year when I got an email from Dan Gustin, the director of Gilmore Festival. And he wrote that he will be in Europe and he would like to have a meeting with me. So I was thinking that maybe we will be discussing my next concerts, my next recital.
Because you have played at the Gilmore Festival.
Yes, at the Gilmore Festival. I was also thinking that maybe he wants to reduce my fee a little bit. So
quite the opposite, as it turned out.
So it was a big surprise for me because I did not expect this award. So I was lucky that I was sitting when I heard this news.
Yeah. Where were you when he actually told you? What was the situation when you got the news?
It was in Berlin, because I suggested Berlin as a venue of our meeting, because it's not so far from my house in Poland. So it was very convenient to arrange the meeting there. So. It was a great day. I remember my feelings were quite similar that I had in 2005 in October when I won the Chopin competition.
The Chopin competition, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Did you have any inkling that you were being followed around the world by folks from the Gilmore Festival?
Absolutely not. So it was absolutely big surprise for me.
And you said you've known since last summer. How many people were you allowed to tell, and how did you keep this secret?
Just my family, and that's all. So, my parents, my sisters, some relatives, and the friends.
But in general, you were sworn to secrecy as well.
Sorry?
You had to keep the secret.
Yes, sometimes it was difficult because it was 6 months,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to tell some people, but it's very important that it was confidential.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't for the last 6 months. It's not just the NSA that's been listening to your phone calls. It's the Gilmore Festival as well.
Yeah.
If I ever have a secret to keep, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to tell you. That's just amazing. So Berlin, not far from your hometown. What is your hometown?
It's Nakło. It's not so. It's a small town.
You want to keep it a secret? I understand. That's the theme of the night.
No,
and it's okay.
22,000 people. So I was born there, and I still live there. It's a very nice place and very good atmosphere for the artistic work. So it's a really nice place. And and my family. I still live with my parents, with my sister. My family. Nobody in my family is a musician. So I was very lucky that I started to playing the piano and my musical education at Artur Rubinstein School in Bydgoszcz, the city which is not so far from my town. And I must tell you that I really wanted to be the organist at the beginning when I was a child, and it was my dream to play the organ in the church, not the piano. So I remember that. My memories from my childhood are connected with going to the church and listening to the organ music. So I was totally fascinated by the huge sound of the organ. But when I started to play the piano after first lessons, I realized that maybe this is the right instrument, the right choice, the right instrument for me. And after my first concerts, first small competitions in my country, I really wanted to be the pianist and play for the people, for the audience, all over the world.
So you've never learned to play the organ?
Never. Okay. Just for my pleasure.
Well,
so.
you can pick it up sometime. So
maybe in the future.
if you can afford the lessons, that's really the trick. You're working on a doctorate now at Nicholas Copernicus University. Is that right? What are you?
Exactly, in
What is
Turin.
your doctorate going to be in?
In Turin. Now I'm writing a small book, yeah, about the interpretation. The main subject is the identity of the musical work in the context of the interpretation. So now I'm concentrated on Polish philosopher Roman Ingarden, who was a student of German philosopher Edmund Husserl, and he wrote a very interesting book, interesting text about the identity of the musical work. So it's really helpful in my piano work, in my job. Yeah. So it's amazing that sometimes I can have a meetings with some professors, students, and I had a very nice experience 2 years ago at this university. We arranged a special discussion between the students and between the professors. The piano was staying on the stage, so I could give some examples from Bach music and Chopin. And we were talking about the metaphysics in music. So it was really, really interesting.
So, well, always good for everyone to have some vocational education, I guess. Now, you mentioned the Chopin competition. This is 2005 that you won. It happens once every 5 years. And just to create some context around this, I don't think that we in the US understand the connection between Chopin's music, and the Polish people, and how important this is. What kind of connection is there between Chopin and Chopin's music and people in Poland today?
I don't know. But we must know that for Chopin, the Polish music, folk music, was a big inspiration, especially when I'm playing some polonaises, mazurkas. It's very important. But we must know that a lot of pianists who are not Polish, they play mazurkas and polonaises very well. So I think the most important is the sensibility and intuition. Thanks to them, the artist can create his individual word in the music, in the interpretation, also in the polonaises and in the mazurkas.
Mm-hmm. And wherever you go in Poland, it's fairly common to find a Chopin street, or lots of things named after Chopin, cafes, or he's a real presence in Polish culture to this day. You were 20 years old at the time of this competition. There's a lot of discussion in musical circles about the value of competitions. How did you find the experience of that competition?
Well, it was very important because I knew that after this winning in 2005, it was the key to develop an international career as a musician. So, and I think that the competitions are very important. This is the way to the international career all over the world. So, international career, yeah, of course. And I decided to take part at Chopin competition because it was my dream to play Chopin for Polish people, yeah? And I have wonderful memories from 2005, of course. So, but I must tell you that I did not expect this winning because I had own strategy during this competition. So it means that I didn't listen to other pianists during competition because I really wanted to be concentrated on my interpretation, on my program. Just on me. So I didn't read any newspapers. I didn't listen to the radio. So I really wanted to be completely alone with the music, with the Chopin. And it worked very well. But I didn't know what is the level of the competition. So the result, when I heard the final result, I was extremely shocked. I was happy. I felt a big joy inside. So it was a great moment.
You're the first Polish pianist in 30 years to win the Chopin competition. And lest anyone think that, well, he won because he was Polish, there were, I think, 46, 47 other Polish pianists in the preliminary round of the competition, 19 others in the competition proper. So it was really your artistry and your approach to the music. You said that the Chopin competition helped propel you toward an international career. Maybe it's too early to ask this question, but do you have any sense yet what the effect of being the Gilmore artist might be for you?
It's also very important competition, because you know this is what I said at the beginning of this interview, that my feelings were very similar to the feelings from October, which I had in October in 2005. So I think it's a very important moment now in my career, because thanks to this award I can, for example, release some interesting projects. We will see what to do with this award. And I think that now it's too early to talk about this. Maybe I will buy a new piano. Why not?
Well, we'll give you a little more than 24 hours to
Yeah.
answer that question. We'll come back and talk about that.
Okay.
Rafał, Blechacz, you've been sitting quietly listening to this list of names go by and list of accomplishments go by. You're now a member of this club. How does it feel?
It's a wonderful feeling. So I'm very happy. And it's a very beautiful story, because I forgot to tell you that my first concert, first recital in the United States was at the Gilmore Festival in 2008. So now I'm very happy that I
It was a
received this
setup.
award. I believe that's not.
Rafał, we're going to hear you play a little bit more in a few minutes, but we'll give you a little bit of a break, so you can
Okay,
you
thank
can
you.
take a break from the stage.
Okay.
But we'll see you in a few minutes.
See you later. Yeah.
Yep. Rafał Blechacz, 2014 Gilmore Artist. When Mozart wrote that movement for a piano sonata in D major, he didn't just say allegro, which would mean play it quickly, play it at a good pace. He wrote allegro con spirito, play it
Exactly.
quickly but with spirit. And I love the spirit that you brought to that. Rafał Blechacz
Thank you.
is the 2014 Gilmore Artist Award recipient. We just heard him performing live in the Jerome L. Greene Performance Space here at WQXR in New York City. I'm Fred Child from American Public Media's Performance Today, and WQXR's Jeff Spurgeon is here alongside me as well. And I should mention the other two pieces that we heard as well. A scherzo by Beethoven from his Sonata in A major, Opus 2, number 2, and a slow movement, a largo from Beethoven's Sonata in D major, Opus 10. I love, Sherman von Solkema just a few minutes ago was talking about your emotional imagination, and I love that. And it was really fun to listen to you play with that in mind. But there was something else that you were doing, Rafał, that just swept me away. Maybe this is a little bit inside baseball, but it's something pianists think about a lot. Voicing. And you had such clarity and such wonderful voicing. This is when there are a lot of different things happening. You might have a voice up high, you have some things happening in the middle, some things down low, and you're drawing our attention to different parts of what you're doing in the keyboard so subtly and beautifully. I love that.
Thank you very much. Maybe the reason is that I liked the organ music, and I still like. So maybe this connection is very helpful in the piano interpretation.
Ah, it's just
Maybe.
wonderful. You're 28 years old. You already have, I think
Yes, I'm getting older.
I think it's now 5 solo CDs for the Deutsche Gramophone. label?
Exactly, 5 CDs.
And you also appear on one of their compilations as well. How do you choose music for these recordings? This is so important because this helps define you in the public imagination to a certain extent. How do you choose
Yes.
music?
Well, it's not so difficult. It's quite easy process. You feel somewhere here in your heart that this piece by this composer you can play, and this piece no, maybe not yet, or maybe never. So it's your intuition. It's the voice from your heart. So you must hear it.
And among the Polish composers whose work you played, not only Frédéric Chopin, but Szymanowski. Why Szymanowski?
Because he's a wonderful composer, and he wrote wonderful pieces like the first sonata, like the second sonata, and mazurkas and the preludes. So I wanted to change a little bit with my album with Szymanowski music, the situation, because also the first sonata, Opus 8, which I recorded for Deutsche Gramophone, is not so well known even in my country. So I really wanted to change the situation in Poland and in the world. Yeah.
Fred asks wonderful, kind questions that focus on your artistry. You may consider me now an annoying uncle. I was more uncomfortable with this question before I found out how long ago you learned, 6 months ago, that you were going to be the Gilmore Artist Award recipient. So the crass question I have to ask you is, what are you going to do with the money?
Well, I told you that maybe I will buy a new piano.
Uh-huh.
I have some ideas, maybe some interesting projects, recording projects with the expensive orchestras, which means very good orchestras. Yeah. So, but I think it's too early to talk about this. You know,
It's certainly none of my business. I want to make that quite plain.
I need time. I need time for that, for thinking about what to do in the future, and with such a great award.
You could buy about 1/3 of a really nice small pipe organ, too. So
Why not?
you could think about that.
If it's
as well.
helpful with the piano interpretation. Maybe
How old were you when you first played the piano? How old were you when you found and where was that
I
piano?
was-
If your parents weren't musicians, where was the piano?
I was lucky because the instrument, the piano, was already in my house when I was 3 or 4 years old. So the contact with the piano was relatively early.
But nobody played it in your
Nobody played, but my father played a little bit. He studied the piano 6 or maybe 7 years, and he stopped. But the piano was already in my house, so it was perfect situation.
It's like a pipe organ. Once you get one, it's hard to displace it. It tends to stay around. When did you first play Debussy?
First time, I don't remember, but I studied Debussy when I was 15 or 16. It was the beginning with Debussy music. It was the story. The first piece by Debussy was the Suite Bergamasque,
Right.
with the famous Moonlight movement.
You're going to...
Yes, and I realized that to this music I need extremely good piano. It was very important because Debussy made me more sensitive for the colors and shades of the sound, which is also very important in Chopin's music, of course. But I realized that I need a new piano. So it was very important for me that after Hamamatsu international competition in 2003, I bought a piano, so I could prepare the program for the Chopin competition in 2005. And after my winning at Chopin, my winning in 2005 in Warsaw, I bought a Steinway Model B from Hamburg, so which is a perfect situation now for preparing a new program, or Debussy, for example.
So you said playing Debussy, you thought, well, I have to get a different piano to play Debussy. Does that same thought occur to you with other composers?
Well, it's very important also to have a right voicing intonation to the specific repertoire. So I'm always trying to talk with the tuner before my concerts, before the recordings, about the intonation to the specific piece, to the specific repertoire that I'm going to play. So also today I talked with the tuner about some intonation aspects.
So it's not just the
tuner.
piano, but how you set up the piano. And they talk about voicing a piano and how hard are the hammers, and there's lots of different ways to set up a piano
Yes,
for a concert.
it's very important, especially before the recording, and also because you told about the emotions in the interpretation. Sometimes, I feel that this phrase from the particular Mazurka by Chopin should sound in this way. Sometimes I feel that maybe a little bit different, so it depends on the acoustic of the concert hall, on the special atmosphere during the concert, on the public, on my mood. So there are so many elements which can change the interpretation. It's changing all the time.
I love it when at the end of a piece like that, the first thing you hear is silence. And then before the applause begins, you hear many people in the room go,
Sometimes it happens.
And that's exactly what happened just
It's
now.
the greatest reward after the interpretation, after the concert.
Oh, wonderful performance of Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy. Rafał Blechacz playing
Thank
that
you.
for us here. He's, by the way, the 2014 Gilmore Artist, the recipient of an award that's given out once every 4 years by the Gilmore Keyboard Festival in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Rafał Blechacz live in WQXR's Jerome L. Greene Performance Space, playing music by Claude Debussy. In the fourth row, Rafał, there's some members of your family.
They are, yes. My relatives from Princeton, New Jersey.
Your aunt and uncle,
Yes, my uncle and my aunt and my father.
and your father
Yes.
is here.
Yes.
Stand up. Come on.
Well, I want to say thank you to your father and to your aunt and uncle and to everyone who had a hand in helping you to this point in your life. And thank you so much, Rafał Blechacz, for joining us here today. This has been a great pleasure. Thank you very much. And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.